So I want to go ahead and get into the skills, and I'm going to keep it extremely simple because I think a lot of the times it can get way too much about a numbers game, but I'm just going to talk simply about how you need to rotate these skills to have fun and be efficient with the class and be a good support. So let's go over the general build and what I feel like most people would likely do best with. So you should go as much swiftness as possible and then spec on your necklace. As you can see, far as engravings go, the top 3 that you have to have are the class engraving, which is full bloom, expert, and awakening. Those are the top 3. So if you're only going to be running a 3x3 setup, you've got to have these top 3. Then the 4th engraving that you choose is, in my opinion, completely dependent on your current raid knowledge and how casual you want to feel while you're in the raid, because heavy armor is a very popular choice for this 4th engraving. However, I feel very confident with all of the mechs in the raids, and I'm not really worried about me dying because I'm controlling the shielding, I'm controlling the healing, everything like that. So I'm not really worried about me dying. And so that's why I went with Vital Point Hit, because I would much rather have way more utility for stagger. It is so satisfying whenever a stagger mech comes up and you're just blasting it and you see the stagger bar just going, just flying down. So that is really satisfying to me. So that's why I chose Vital Point. You can also go Drops of Ether here. Vital Point Hit for me was the obvious choice. Now for a 5x3 setup, if you are not worried about getting too much damage taken while you're in the fight, then you could go Vital Point Hit and then Drops of Ether, for example, for your 5th engraving, or you could go Heavy Armor. I think the top choices for a 5x3 would be Vital Point Hit and then Heavy Armor, just to guarantee your survivability a little bit more. But if you're just feeling like you know all the mechs, you're not worried about dying, then I think to bring the most utility to a party, it would be Vital Point Hit and Drops of Ether as your 4th and 5th engraving. But ultimately, it is up to you. So if you're not as comfortable, maybe, and you want a little bit more survivability just in case, then I would definitely go for Heavy Armor on this 4th engraving instead of something like Vital Point Hit or Drops of Ether. So first, I want to talk about her identity. So as you can see, there are 3 bubbles right here. Now, she has a choice on how to use these bubbles. So you can use 2 bubbles to give a plus 10% outgoing damage buff for 10 seconds, which is nice. But then with the other choice, you can use 1 bubble to do exactly that and give a little heal orb. Now, deciding which one you need to be using, of course, goes into that whole part of being intuitive with the class and having to make decisions, but not having to min-max necessarily, because if you can see that your party is taking a lot of damage, you're probably just going to be dishing out healing bubbles most of the time, and you don't really need to be worrying too much about activating Moonfall because it does take 2 orbs. That kind of encompasses her identity. With that being said, the toolkit that you are going to use for your skills goes as follows. You're going to go Sprinkle with a 3-1-2 set up on the tripod with an Overwhelm rune. Then you're going to go Pouncing Tiger with a 2-2-1 with an Overwhelm rune. Door of Illusion, you're going to go 2-2-3 with a Focus rune. For Upward Stroke, you're going to go 2-3-2 with a Galewind rune. For Sunwell, you're going to go 1-1-1 with a Galewind again. For Hopper, you're going to go with a Wealth rune, but choose 1-1-1. And then on Drawing Orchids, you're going to go with another Galewind, and you're going to go 3-3-1. And then for Sun Sketch, you're going to go with a Focus rune and 1-1-1 on that. Now, let's get into the actual skill usage. Your Sprinkle and your Hopper skills are your shield skills. And I'm just going to keep this as simple as possible, not get into too much of the fluff, just really cover the basics so you can understand how to use all these skills. So Sprinkle and Hopper both have a pretty low cooldown on them, and the cooldown is low enough so that you can alternate between using them to shield your teammates. So Sprinkle has a huge distance on it, and so anyone that's even close to this is going to get shielded for about 3 to 4 seconds. And then when you use Hopper, it's the same thing. You have to hit them while you are hopping around, and it's going to give them shield. Now the best way to go between these two shielding skills is to hit them with the ink, and then after a few seconds, then you'll go around with the hopper and shield up your team, and you'll just keep rotating between them like so. Now as far as your two utility skills, which is your counter, which is upward stroke, this is a really good skill as it has 2 hits on it, and they're pretty long. It's a pretty long animation in a good way, not that it takes a long time to start up, but that it's out there for a pretty long time. I've gotten some counters that I just did not expect to get because the skill animation is there for so long. So I really like this counter skill. And as far as Pouncing Tiger, this has weak point and it has a lot of stagger. Plus it has quick prep, so the cooldown isn't quite that long, especially with a cooldown gem. So you're typically going to be using this in a fight just to build meter, or if you know that there's a stagger check coming up, then you're going to save that to use for that. Now, as far as your buff skills, for your Sun Sketch and your Sun Well, both of these give attack power, so you can't use them at the same time. So you should always be alternating between them. So for example, you can use Sun Well, and then as the fight's going on, and let's say, for example, there's about 5 to 6 seconds left, or about 8 seconds even left on this cooldown, you're going to want to give the Sun Well bonus, and that is going to apply. As you can see, I still have this bonus, and boom, it's down. Now Sun Sketch is back up, and I'm just going to kind of stand here, and as you can see, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now this is down. Now we're going to go Sun Well and get that skill back up, and you're just going to be constantly alternating between the two of them, so your party members always have an attack power buff. As far as the debuff on the boss or the enemies, drawing orchids is going to supply that. So as you can see, this ink brand gives a damage from all of his foes, which is all of your team, 10% extra damage. So this is one skill that you are going to want to have up all the time. And as you can see, it's very easy to have this because when you play a max swiftness build, plus you have a level 5 cooldown gem, you are going to have 100% uptime on this skill, as long as you hit the boss, of course. For the 4th buff skill, Door of Illusion. This is a very cool skill as it allows you to have a free Purify skill that you don't have to alternate one of the tripods on. It's always going to be there. Plus you can teleport people, which is freaking awesome. And as you can see, it gives a ton of meter, a quarter of a bubble. Actually, it's a lot. It's a free skill for a ton of meter generation. So on fights that you don't have to be using the teleport feature or a purify feature, you're just going to be kind of casting this as it comes up. That way you can gain as much meter as possible. But if it does come up that you need the teleport, for example, like on Vicus Gate 2, whenever she's doing the electrical AoE attack around her, and the 2nd and 3rd attacks are safe on the inside, so everyone's damaging on the inside, and then guess what? The 4th attack is an AoE on the inside, so you have to run out. Well, you can just put a little teleporter there, run to the outside, that way your DPS can do as much damage as possible, and then teleport at the last second and get out of there. So it's a very useful skill. And as far as the Purify function, even on raids like Clown, where there's a lot of chances to get a lot of burn damage from the fight, you can always save that to use for the Purify on that, and just always keep one up just in case you need to purify anyone in that area. So that's a very cool thing. And the last skill that I want to talk about is her awakening that you'll be using in these raids, which is Efflorescence. And let me just use this real quick. Check the artwork. Look, she's riding around on her paintbrush. This is what I'm talking about. Top 3 reasons. This is why, and just another reason, okay? Super cool animations, just very satisfying to press that button, and you get to press it pretty often too. So what it's going to do is it's going to give you 2 bubbles, and of course you can use Moonfall, which gives the damage buff, or you can use 2 little healers, bink, bink, and you can use those instead. It does not matter, but it's going to give you a refill on 2 of those. So typically in a normal fight, even on an eye level raid, which I've been doing a lot of, going through the rotations pretty well, using your skills pretty efficiently, and then using your awakening whenever it's up, and again, it only has 50 seconds now. Your party members, unless they are just feeding into the boss and taking damage from literally every attack and never avoiding anything, they should not be dying, because you are going to have so many bubbles to heal with from going through your skills, doing your awakening, keeping them alive with shields, all that. It's very, very efficient, and it's really fun to play this class. Now, in terms of gems, you're going to want cooldown gems for all of your skills. I don't have them for all of my skills, but that's because this is an alternate tune on an alternate roster, so I don't want to spend too much gold in it because I don't have that much gold. The damage gems are kind of optional, and if this is one of your main characters, then yes, I would advise you to go ahead and get some damage gem on your highest damage skills, but it's not really necessary as a sport because your damage is so small anyways. So the cooldown gems are what you need to really focus on and make sure you have all the cooldown gems for your skills. But what I want to know from you is, how have you enjoyed playing Artist as a whole? If you made an alt, for example, or if you made a new main with her, please let me know what you think down below. I would love to know how you're feeling about this class. And honestly, just playing this class, I am super excited for Aeromancer to come out. I'm freaking hyped. Imagine a little DPS version of her just running around, like creating all this stuff. Huge animations, a lot of fun to play, very consistent. I'm so excited to make an Aeromancer in the next few months, whenever it does come out. I can't freaking wait. But this class has just made me even more hyped for it. So guys, I'm gonna see you on the next video. And if you learned something, or maybe just enjoyed a little bit simpler breakdown of some of these skills and rotations, give me a like on this video. I'm trying to get to 2,500 subs by the end of the year. And if you like Lost Ark content, then subscribe to my channel because there's gonna be a ton of it on the way. And let me know if you want me to make a video on something more specific in the comments below. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I would love to answer all of your comments. But guys, I'm going to see you on the next video.